You were talking about playing a Jim Hadar on Deep Space Nine. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Oh yeah, that was an amazing episode. I don't know if you, Rocks and Shoals, absolutely. It's an episode where my crew, the Jim Hadar and our Vorta, crash land on this planet at the same time that Cisco and his group crash land, and we inevitably at the end have a fight to the death because Jem'Hadars have to fight. I mean, they're bred and born to fight. I am up under incredible prosthetic makeup. It was the hottest day in like the last 25 years in Los Angeles. We were shooting in a white quartz rock quarry in a city called Sunland. It was so hot. The stunt coordinator, who's supposed to be the toughest dude out of all of us, fainted. That's how bad it was. I literally, in between scenes, would go back to my trailer, take off my entire multi-layered leather outfit, and hang it up. It was completely drenched when I would hang it up, and it would dry like that before the next scene. But if you see that episode, there's a scene between Cisco and I in a cave. And you want to talk about two guys trying to outduel each other with their voices? That's the scene to watch, because he comes out, he's, Avery's very, and then I'm playing this very, so it's this, and it's then that, and it's more this, and it's a little more that. And I think he says something to me like, why don't we just agree not to engage, right? And my character has one of the greatest lines, which is, that is impossible for me to do. This is what I was bred to do before I was even born. So it is inevitable that we will meet on the battlefield. And he just kind of throws his hands up and it's like, all right, well, it's on. Of course they win. Or else it would be my show. The Adventures of Third Roboticlon! But it was just a wonderful episode, and a seminal episode for Jem'Hadars and Vortas, and almost every episode of Star Trek that I've done, to me, has been a seminal episode. I don't know if you've seen the Voyager episode of One Small Step, where I played John Kelly, Lieutenant, and kind of the bridge between NASA and the Federation. But every episode I seem to have done, and probably every actor who's done Star Trek feels the same way. That's what I'm talking about. You do an episode of Star Trek, it's as though you've transcended some entertainment vortex. It's just so engaging. So it's always a pleasure to do them, and anytime they call, I am more than happy to go out and perform in a Star Trek episode, for sure.
I wanted to know, what kind of advice can you get for somebody who wanted to start in acting?
I hear that a lot, and that's a very common question because there is no way. William Goldman, who's a great screenwriter, wrote Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid, wrote a book called Adventures in the Screen Trade. His first line in there is, nobody knows nothing. Nobody knows nothing. No way is the way, really, in acting. But the first thing I ever tell people is, you have to go to a class. You have to see if, in fact, this is for you. Because if people see what we do and they admire it, I mean, it's an honorable craft. But to have the ability to do it takes something. I don't know quite what it is that it takes, and I don't think anybody can tell you what it is, and I think that's what he meant. The experience of it is what it is. So I tell people to get into the best class that they can find. If it's here in Orlando, Hollywood, Pennsylvania, wherever you live, find the best theater workshop, the best community theater, the best offering of an acting workshop. Get in that class. Work with those other actors. See if, in fact, this is in you. Because you can want to do it all you want. Then as soon as you get on stage and you get, and then well, maybe this isn't for me. It's the person who doesn't really care that there's 40, 50, 60, 100 people on TV, 30 million, 10 million people watching you, and that doesn't faze you. Or in fact, that gives you a little ooh. You know what I mean? It's like playing sports. You're good at a certain sport doesn't mean that you're good at everything. So this is like a sport. It's an involvement that is very personal. So that as a performer, it's a very personal expression. And so you need to know what that is for you. What it is for me is different. What it is for Sir Patrick Stewart is different than it is for each and every one of us. And that's what makes you you. I remember, literally, I'm in Australia shooting the new Mission Impossible. That's where we shot it. And I saw a trailer for Glory with Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman, beautiful movie, with my wife. And I'm getting hot. I'm like, why didn't I get the call to do this movie? And Denzel, and my wife was like, why are you so upset? We're here in Australia. You're working. You can't be. That is that man's road. Why would you want his job? And I thought to myself, you know what? I cannot be Denzel Washington. But Denzel Washington cannot be Phil Morris. So it's up to me to be the best me that I can be. And then there's no one who can compete with you. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? You find yourself through those paths, you know? And I certainly have found myself. It's taken a while. I mean, I started this by saying I hated when people call me Greg Morris. Now I love it. Because it means that his memory is alive and what he did, what he put down, still exists. Why would I not want to honor that? So, you know, that's kind of what I'm saying.
Hey, Phil.
Hey.
I'm a fellow DC Comics fan and another. Thanks for representing.
Working it.
Two questions. It was pretty obvious that you mentioned that you've been around not only the Star Trek universe, but been around the DC universe. So, kind of three questions as best you can answer. One, is there a favorite character that you have amongst your portrayals, or a character you want to play that you haven't tackled yet in the DCU? That's question one. Question two, can you say anything about Justice League Doom? And three, probably want to answer this first, what's it like kissing Terry Hatcher?
It's a totally off the DC track, right? Actually, no, it's not, because she played Lois Lane. She was an awesome Lois Lane, too. That's a funny story, because that was the final episode of Seinfeld. And I'm there as Jackie, in a suit, with my mustache and glasses on and stuff, ready to shoot courtroom stuff. And Larry David, who was one of the creators of Seinfeld, says, hey, Phil, I'd like you to meet Terry Hatcher. Nice to meet you, Terry. She's there with her husband, John, and her baby, new baby. And he's like, you know, you guys are going to do the bed scene now. Nice to meet you. So, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, that's crazy. And it's not the most intimate of settings. I mean, you got 30 crew members and a camera in your face and microphones. So it's not all that. But it was all that. I mean, they were real and spectacular. Yeah, you know, that was a great episode of Seinfeld. That was like the Beatles reunion almost, you know. That's how big that was. Favorite DC character I've played is probably John Jones, the Martian Manhunter. I love playing him. I love Vandal Savage. I think Vandal Savage is a smooth criminal. You know, he's like a romantic criminal, you know what I mean? He's a criminal for the ages, literally. And John Jones I love because of his, ironically enough, he's a Martian, but his humanity was so well sorted, you know. His compassion was so on his sleeve, you know. And how often do you get to play the mentor to Superman? You know, you get to tell Superman what to do, not really, you know, or you guide him through his paces, you know. That was really wonderful. Tom Welling, who I don't know if you will ever see Tom at a convention. He's just not that kind of guy, you know. He's a very private guy, and he feels like he's given what he had to say to the fans, he said on screen. Whether that's true or not, that's his opinion, and I honor him. I mean, he's a great, great guy. He's the kind of guy you can hang out with. And I think because he does keep himself private and personal, he is a much more humanistic star than a lot of stars I've met. He did that show up in Vancouver for 10 years. You know, not one peep out of him, not a complaint, not a whine. And he directed several of them, so he learned his director's chops there. I loved working with him on that. So not only was the experience of John Jones as the character great, but the experience of John Jones for Phil Morris as the actor on Smallville was amazing. So that was really a fun character to play. Doom. I don't know what I can say about Doom. Doom for those of you who are not the DC aficionados that we might be, is the new straight-to-DVD movie that the Justice League, a new Justice League movie that's going straight to DVD. Bruce Timm is the creator of it. Andrea Romano was our voice director, and she's one of the best in the world, if not the best in the world. I have others I have to work with, so I can't say that she's the best. But that movie, Vandal Savage is back, and he's badder than ever, and he formulates a plot, this is all I can tell you, to defeat the Justice League. But he steals the plot, literally, from one of the Justice Leaguers. So he has like inside info on each character. Yeah, that's all I'll say. It's really, really hot. Really hot. So watch for that.
Okay, so you didn't get Glory. What's the next role you really want to do?
What do I really want to do when I grow up? It's, ironically enough, it is a movie that I have been pitching as Glory on the Water. It's a movie called Surfmen that I'm producing with Dennis Haysbert, who is from 24, the unit. He's now the All-State guy. He's my buddy. We've known each other forever. Surfmen is the story, at the turn of the century, of the only African-American life-saving unit in the life-saving service, which is a precursor to the Coast Guard. And these men, in Reconstructionism, which is about 1880, 1885, came back from the Civil War and committed themselves to saving lives on the water in the Atlantic. And they're heroic, courageous, action-packed. Through all of the racism and all of the oppression, they chose to save primarily whites, because blacks couldn't afford to travel on the water, and gave their lives to saving people on the water. The service at the time was rife with piracy, corruption. They needed to find an honorable man to save the service. They found this man, Richard Etheridge, African American, and they gave him the position of keeper. It's like the head of a life-saving station. And then he had to go out, find a crew, train them, because no white man would serve with him. And blacks were afraid to. So he had to go outside of his area to find these men. It's like the Dirty Dozen. Train them, and then get them to do that which is almost impossible to do on the water. They were the most courageous, the least heralded, the least acknowledged. But when this movie comes out, they will get their acknowledgement. And that's, I want to play Richard Etheridge in that movie, Surfman. So we're going to do that. Oh, we're going to do that.
You said you like to do comedy. If you had a chance, an opportunity, would you do one with Robert Williams?
Oh, yeah. Are you kidding me? You met Jackie Childs and Robin Williams? Hilarious. Hilarious. Yes, I love comedy, and Robin Williams is one of my favorite comics. I'm doing a show right now, as a matter of fact, called Love That Girl, with Tatiana Ali. No, not Muhammad Ali's daughter. Fresh Prince, little Ashley Banks, Tatiana Ali. She's grown up, beautiful girl. I play her dad. I'm also one of the producers on the show. It's on a network called TV1, a very small African-American themed network, urban network. We've done 30 episodes so far. We're on every Monday night at 8 o'clock. If you get it on, if you have DirecTV or Comcast or Uverse, or there's a couple people that carry it. And Bentley Kyle Evans is our creator. Martin Lawrence is one of our producers. Very funny, edgy, urban kind of comedy. And we're the #1 show on their network. And we're having a great time. I just finished an episode of Hot in Cleveland. You know that show? On TV Land. Just finished an episode of that. Betty White. The bomb! The bomb! I think she was coming on to me a little bit too. A little cougar action. Betty. She's so cute. I've known her since she was just Alan Ludden's wife from Password. See? And I saw her, she's just adorable, and Valerie Burnelli is great, Jane Leaves and Wendy Malick are the stars of the show. It's a funny episode, so check that out. But I'm doing a lot of comedy, really enjoying the comedy thing. Yes?
What shows are on now that you enjoy watching, and what shows are on now that you have not yet been on that you'd like to?
God, that's a good question. I really enjoy a lot of the HBO offerings. Boardwalk Empire is a big favorite of mine. Starting to watch Persons of Interest on CBS. What else am I watching? Breaking Bad. I love Breaking Bad with Bryan Cranston, who's another Seinfeld alum. What other stuff is on there that I'm watching? Not anymore. You know. But yeah, you know, I have a lot of friends still over there. You know, Christoph, St. John, and those folks. Yeah, old school. Yeah. What shows would I like to be? What shows would I like to be on? I mean, all of them. I mean, it's like, what do you got? You know, I would love to be. I'd love to go back to CSI Miami. I did that episode. I did an episode of that. I like NCIS Los Angeles. I could go in there and work with them. You know, quite a bit. Any of those shows, those hour dramas, I love, absolutely love. I can't think of everything right now, but yeah, there's a lot of work I'd like to do out there. You know, as an actor, there's just so much that you want to do. And for me, in particular, because of the comedy that I love to do and the drama, I can kind of go everywhere. You know, and so I really relish the fact that as an actor, I have that diversity. And again, as an actor, probably gone. He left. He got his information. He's like, I'm out of here. I got that. Okay, thanks, go. You have to be diverse. You know, I mean, yeah, we all want to play what we like to play, but it's my job as an actor to play as much as I can, as much as is in me. Now, everything isn't in me, you know, but there is a lot. And as an actor, it's my challenge to kind of divine those things and find out what tools I have in this Swiss Army knife of a facility.
So far today, what has been your favorite role to play or your favorite character that you have played?
Whoa. Jackie's definitely one of them. Jackie Childs is definitely one of them. John Jones, like I said, is one of them. I really wanted to do the Justice League series. I thought that would have been awesome. What else have I played that I'd like to play more of? I really wish that our version of Mission Impossible had gone further a little bit, you know, and we had more we could do with that show. And I wish that we had the chance to really pursue that more and more and more. I really enjoyed playing with those actors and living and working in Australia.
Do I have to have the microphone again?
By the way, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
And November 29th will be released the first season of Mission Impossible 88. I already pre-ordered my box set. Do you have any anecdotes from that show? Anything you'd like to share with us? Anything that happened behind the scenes? Because it was a great show. I love the fact that it was our Mr. Phelps coming back and getting a new team together. And I just loved our concept of having the show back.
Thank you.
Great. Any behind the scenes stories?
You know, I mean, simple ones. You know, I don't have any like weird ones, but I have some. You know, just I've known Peter Graves my whole life. You know, and he's now passed. But I knew him when I was younger, and he was my Uncle Peter. You know, and it was just ironic that they would do Mission Impossible because Mission Impossible was a writer's strike precipitated show. The writer's strike was on at the time. No one could write new scripts. So they had to bring a show out of mothballs that would translate to a contemporary audience. So they thought of Mission Impossible. And then the call went out, casting call went out. All my buddies went to audition for the role that I ultimately got, and I wasn't getting the call. And I thought, well, they'll never call me, because I'm Greg Morris's son, and, it's too on the nose. They'll never do that. Ultimately, they did call me. And I walked in, and literally I walked in, and John Pike, who was the head of Paramount, went, that's our guy. And so I got the part, and I hadn't seen Peter Graves since 1973. So this was 88, 89. It was 15 years later. And it was the best reunion I could possibly ever have. So that's a cool story. Disney logo. Forget all of that. This man needs someone who can play him. Are you the actor who can do that? As soon as I gave up my judgment, I found him. And I got the part, and now I'm playing that character on Disney. And I'm loving it. I'm loving being a Disney dad. But it's that thing we do to ourselves where we want to be a big star, we want to do this, we want to do that, and we forget there are steps to take to get there. And those steps take root in here, and you can't act for anybody but you and your character. When I got to that, I became much better. I became funnier, I think I was able to invest more in my characters because I got rid of the judgment and just really went to work on what they needed as opposed to what I was trying to get. And it changed me, It made me more committed. It made me more interested in the process And that's what you have to have a strong process as an actor.
Thank you.
We done? That's it?
That's time!
Ladies and gentlemen,